welcome to our first ever game review. To explain, this type of video has been long in the making. When me and Jerry first made this channel, we meant to do a lot more videos like this. Reviews for games that really stuck out to me and Jerry. However, as time went on, we turned more into a Let's Play channel and didn't really think about reviews. But recently, a certain title has really stuck out. SCP Containment Breach, Unity Edition. Now, for those of you who don't know, which should be all of you since we never upload the videos, Jimmy and I attempted to record this version of SCP Containment Breach. As per usual, we went in blind, expecting Containment Breach with updated visuals, better gameplay, and more content. However, as you'll learn from this video, we were incorrect with our assumptions. Instead of playing Containment Breach 2, we played an hour of watered down, better graphics Containment Breach, the alpha demo. Clever name, I know, but that's what it turned out to be. We learned the hard way that this game was lacking in several departments, which I'll explain through the duration of this video. Before I begin though, let me do a bit more explaining. This video was based off of what Jimmy and I saw from our hour of gameplay. If I'm wrong on any points, I do apologize. However, a lot of what's explained is already confirmed by the single website we could find holding any information about the game besides how to download it. Before I begin, I do apologize if I am incorrect in any aspects. Please make sure to tell me how wrong I am in the comments. When we delved into this masterpiece of a game, we went in blind. However, from what I had already heard about the game, I had already expected a few things. The main point being pushed about the Unity remake was that it was like Containment Breach, but using the Unity engine. This will allow for modified visuals and sounds and mechanics that weren't really possible before. However, I didn't really expect it to mean that it was possible, but not implemented. Matter of fact, it seemed like a lot was missing in the Unity remake. For one, the keycard system had not yet been implemented. For those of you unfamiliar with keycards, they were necessary for completing the game. They allowed you to get to more secure areas of the facility and in the end would allow you to escape. But in the Unity edition, they're non-existent. They hadn't been implemented yet. But I guess they wouldn't need to since there's only one area of the map to explore. Light containment is usually the starting area in SCP games. It's where most of the progression takes place, collecting equipment to use in later parts of the game, like the gas mask, night vision goggles, and keycards. From there, you'd travel through heavy containment, and from there, through the entrance zone. We expected things to be a bit different, of course. Changes in area layouts are to be expected, in an effort to shake things up a bit. We didn't expect entire parts of the map to be gone, especially when they addressed them on the wiki. Aside from light containment, they address a heavy containment, an extra heavy containment, and an outside portion of the map. Yet in the game, they aren't there. Why would this game only have one area, when it's been in the workings for 2 years? I guess it isn't so bad. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be a shorter game since it's still under work. But then we get to the next part. There is absolutely no ending to this game. There is no end goal, no form of objective, and no means of escape. The point of most SCP games is to try to escape, yet escaping has not yet been implemented. I mean, come on now, why would you release a physically unbeatable game? I'm sorry, but this just ticked me off so much. The best part is that Jimmy and I had to figure all this out the hard way, by cheating around the map, traveling at light speed until we could open up every single door on the floor, just to discover that there is no way to progress further. I'm sorry, but I don't know why you would release a game with no ending. It would be different if it was like a sandbox, where you had to make your own fun. But fun isn't running around in circles down dark hallways, being chased by merciless nightmares, looking for an end that doesn't exist. Well, it seems kind of fun, besides all of your effort being a waste of time, made clear by the next part. Any game where progress is required should have a functional saving system. You should be able to hop off for a bit, leave the room for a while, and come back and pick up right where you left off. However, this game can't even pull that off. Saving is broken. I read up on this on the official Discord and learned that the saving system only saves your location and the seed of the map. Let me remind you that there is indeed an inventory, although there's very lacking in the amount of items to collect. There are items to be collected and used, but loading a save game erases your items. So essentially, the only point in saving is to be able to start somewhere other than the main starting location. which that doesn't really give you any advantage because items won't matter in the end when there's only so many and the only thing you can do is run around in circles trying to stay alive. Now, before I freak out and before anyone else freaks out, because I know they will, I will acknowledge that the saving system isn't really required for the game since it's, so short. However, I did want to cover it since it was added anyways to a game where saving wouldn't really matter. I felt like I should address it. In my opinion, I don't really see a point in having a saving system in a game where there's no progression to be made, especially if saving is just saving your location. I don't really see a point. But I felt like I should address it. Moving on. This is the part where I don't bash on the game as much. For being so lackluster in other departments, it doesn't look half bad. One of the main points of the remake was to update the visuals, which it did pull off. Everything does look a lot better compared to the older Containment Breach. However, even then, we still encountered several problems. I'm not sure if it was just me, since I did see some other posts about this problem in their Discord, but frame drop was awful, even with graphics settings lower than normal. The problem seemed to fix itself after a while, but I would get an extreme loss of frames entering this room. I'm not really sure why, but frames would just drop like bricks if I were to enter this room at any given time. It wouldn't matter what my graphics settings were set at, they would always drop by about maybe 50%, just any time I got anywhere near this room. Another issue was that although I was on the low settings, something didn't feel right about the quality. Although I started on ultra and then went to low and then went to moderate, quality changes were either non-existent or abundant. For example, when we first started, things looked great except that there was frame drop. Then we went to low settings, which wasn't even the lowest, and the frames got better. However, it seemed that only half the entities were affected by the change. Some hallways had walls of Play-Doh, and others looked perfectly normal. Some signs were only made of a few pixels, but not all the signs. One type of hallway would look perfectly normal, yet the same hallway somewhere else would look awful. I'm not really sure why it was like that, but the problem remained when we switched to moderate. Sure, it wasn't as bad, but it was still pretty common to see a sign made out of clay on one wall, then a copy of the sign somewhere else looking perfectly fine. Another selling point was all the additions made to the game compared to Containment Breach. I will admit that several more things were added to the game, but even then it still seemed like more was missing than added. For one, new object SCPs such as the candy bowl and the ducks were added, but key items such as keycards and night vision were removed. So was it really worth the new items? In my opinion, it wasn't. Having the candy was cool. For those of you who don't know, there's a candy bowl that amputates your hands if you take more than 2 pieces of candy. Pretty cool, right? The candy would heal you and would later be upgraded to, candy bars using the refinery. But then again, health kits did the exact same thing in Containment Breach, but they didn't cut off your hands. I do like seeing more interactable SCPs, and I'm hoping for stuff like that in the Secret Laboratory game. But to remove so many other items, I just don't really think it was worth it. As for hostile SCPs, I only ever noticed 173, 106, and 939. The startling statue is added, but aside from do its job of jump scaring you, it really served no other purpose. He was pretty easy to avoid, you simply didn't open his door and you'd be fine. I will admit though that 106 and 939 did seem to be a bit different compared to Containment Breach, but that isn't saying much. To summarize, 106 is far harder to escape, coming through walls in front of you and hounding you like a dog. But his pathing was pretty broken, making it easy to escape him simply by leading him through a room with shelves or tables and watching the chaos ensue. As for 939, he certainly looked more terrifying, sporting longer legs, a taller, more menacing body, and faster movement. However, he lost the ability to recreate the human voice, which in my opinion was the best part about him. Being able to trick the weary player into pursuing it just to turn on them was pretty cool, and to see that this key feature has yet to be implemented is really disappointing. I could go on and on about what additions bothered me, but to put it briefly, too much was cut from the original for the additions to make up for it. It'd be different if these things had been reworked or changed, but key parts of the game are just gone. You can't create that many holes and expect only a few new things to patch them up. Before I go on, I am in no way saying that I could do a better job. Hearing people say, if you have a problem with it, try making it yourself, really grinds my gears. It makes no sense to me. So far, this game has brought a lot to the table. Updated visuals, enhanced gameplay, and new features. However, all of these are hidden by not yet implemented text. As stated, I am in no way saying I could do a better job, and I haven't talked to the developers or heard any comments about this. I am under the impression that this game has quite a few people working on it. This could either speed up the development process or slow it down. Obviously, whether directly or indirectly, something has dragged this game's development time into 2 years. Now, I'm obviously no game developer, but I feel like there's a lot of not yet implemented content when most of it should have been added before the game was even considered being released to the public. I can understand if this game was meant to be a demo or maybe a trial, and maybe it is, and that might be why there isn't a whole lot of content yet. But I've seen nothing else to confirm this. The developers say that it's a project that will give fans the game they deserve, but they also make it clear that the Unity Remake seeks to capture the spirit and feel of the original SCP Containment Breach game, expand the player's experience with new SCPs, items, and encounters, and recreate the game in a modern, powerful engine. As a consumer of the product, I can say that the last thing I have felt was that the spirit was conserved. Yes, new things are added. Yes, new visuals are added. And the game is still an SCP game, yes. But no, it didn't feel like an SCP Containment Breach remake. It felt like a trial for a discontinued SCP game. I really don't know why this game was released while lacking all of this content that should have been implemented before it was even released. If this video picks up a lot of heat, I can see fans of the game being upset. I will give the Unity edition some credit. It brings an interesting idea to the table. An old game, made more modern and more content packed, but still feeling like, the old game, and nothing more. That's great, and although I've been a fan of SCP for a very short time, I can totally see why people would be hyped for that, and I'm all aboard for it. Many new ideas are being brought to the table, which is awesome. However, I just don't feel like this game should even be calling itself a game yet. At this stage of the development process, I don't understand why they're just throwing it out there. It does seem like a cool idea, and so far, despite all the time being spent on it, it seems to be working. I'm just not a fan of games like this, and by this I mean incomplete. My main issue with this game was a lack of a goal. When I talked to people on the team about it, they pretty much said that I would have to make my own fun, such as setting objectives for myself. But you can't really pull that off with a survival horror game. If there were achievements or some sort of fruit for your labor, that would make sense. People do achievement runs of SCP and countless other games all the time. But the only thing that you can do to make your own fun is to try to collect everything in the game, which isn't really saying a whole lot. This game isn't like Minecraft or Gmod, where the fun revolves around what you choose to do. It is based on your patience for running around in circles, restarting completely every time you die. You can't even try to challenge yourself when you're constantly insta-dying to stuff unexpectedly and being unable to load. Seriously, this game doesn't even let you learn from your mistakes. Drank a bottle too many times? Dead. The death message? You have lost the game. You aren't even given a chance to evaluate why you died. Maybe something came up from behind and killed you as you ate something. Now you'll never know if it was the thing you ate or the creature, because you'll never be willing to take that risk again since it's an instant game over if you do die. Why take voluntary risks if there's no hope for recovery if you're wrong? I guess it makes it harder for some people, but for some people who don't know all 3,000 SCPs from memory, it isn't fun. I don't despise this game. I'm actually pretty impressed with how far it's come. However, I still feel like it has a long ways to go. And if it's taken 2 years to just get this far, I truly am concerned as to how long it'll take just to have, the original game. I do hope to see it progress further, but I don't know how long that could take. In conclusion, if you're interested in keeping up with the project, go for it. I will leave a link to their website down below. As for entertainment value, there isn't a whole lot yet. Maybe something will change soon and the game will get a jump in content, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know that it was way different, and it did take a whole lot longer to make, since all of this has been scripted. I really hope it turns out alright, since this video, again, took several hours to make. I actually had to work on something. I guess I better get used to it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Comment about how much my opinion is irrelevant, yada yada yada. And if you're interested in more videos, make sure to subscribe. And I would be expecting more videos like this, because this one was kind of fun to make. But until then, I will see you next time. Cheers.